I still remember the exact moment the alarm blared through the speakers like it was yesterday. I was sitting in the glass-walled conference room on the 8th floor of InnovateCorp's downtown Chicago headquarters, surrounded by 22 of my teammates during our quarterly all-hands meeting. Our team lead, Karen, a sharp, no-nonsense 48-year-old who'd been in tech longer than most of us had been alive, didn't even flinch. She just closed her laptop and said, "All right, folks, you know the routine. Lights off, phones on silent. Everyone to the far corner away from the windows and door." It was our monthly active shooter drill, the kind we'd run 100 times before. Some people groaned about losing billable hours, but most of us treated it like a 10-minute breather from endless Slack pings and code reviews. 22 of us squeezed into that corner, pushing aside the fancy ergonomic chairs and the projector screen. My best work buddy, Marcus, a 27-year-old coder with a perpetual 5 o'clock shadow and zero filter, dropped down next to me and started showing me silent memes on his phone about terrible office drills. A couple of the newer interns were whispering about their weekend plans. Karen swiped her keycard to lock the electronic door into secure mode, killed the lights, and settled in with us in the dark. 10 long minutes dragged by in total silence, except for the occasional cough or shifted position. 15 minutes. Marcus leaned over and whispered, "Dude, this is dragging longer than usual, right?" Karen shushed him instantly, her voice low but firm. We waited. 20 minutes in, we started hearing movement out in the hallway, doors clicking open, muffled voices, footsteps hurrying as people filed out for the all clear. But the all clear announcement never came over the intercom. The building just went quiet, like everyone had vanished. Karen stood up first and tried the door. It didn't open. She swiped her card again, jiggled the handle harder, even rebooted the panel. Nothing. The lock was completely jammed in secure mode. "Okay, team," she said, forcing a calm tone. "Looks like a glitch. Facilities will be here any minute to reset it." She grabbed the conference phone and dialed security. No answer. She tried again. Still nothing. The hallway outside stayed dead silent. Everyone else had clearly cleared the building. We were the only ones left locked inside. Marcus jumped up and yanked the handle himself. 5 other teammates joined in, pushing, pulling, even kicking the bottom panel. The door wouldn't budge. One of the interns suggested smashing the glass wall to the hallway, but Karen shut that down fast. "Absolutely not. It's reinforced safety glass, and we trigger more alarms. Just stay put." 30 minutes stretched into 45. Karen kept redialing every extension she could think of: front desk, CEO's private line, HR, maintenance. Every single one went to voicemail or rang forever. One guy crept to the window and peered down at the parking lot. It was empty except for a handful of staff cars. That's when Marcus said the words that made my stomach drop like a stone. "Where the hell is everyone? Why isn't anyone picking up?" Karen tried security one last time. This time someone answered, the head of security. I watched her face in the faint glow of her phone screen shift from frustrated to confused to something I'd never seen on her before: raw fear. She hung up slowly and turned to face all of us. Her voice shook for the first time in the 3 years I'd known her. That wasn't a drill. There was a real active shooter threat called in anonymously. They evacuated the entire building 40 minutes ago. Every floor, every office, except us, because our room was marked empty on the checklist and no one realized we were still inside. The room went dead silent. Marcus grabbed my arm so tight it hurt. One intern started crying softly in the back. Karen kept talking, words tumbling out fast and choppy. The threat mentioned a gunman loose in the building. Protocol was immediate full evacuation, no exceptions. But our conference room had been listed as unoccupied because of some mix-up. My heart pounded so hard I could feel it in my throat. Karen said SWAT was en route, that we needed to stay calm, that it was probably a hoax, but her hands trembled as she set the phone down. I kept replaying how security had ignored our calls for nearly an hour, how the parking lot sat empty, how an entire company could pack up and leave without noticing 22 people missing. It felt like we didn't exist, like we were just a forgotten checkbox on some spreadsheet. We huddled there another full hour, whispering worst-case scenarios, texting family on silent, trying not to lose it completely. One guy had a full-on panic attack, and we had to talk him down. The fear was thick enough to taste, imagining footsteps in the hall that weren't rescuers. Finally, we heard heavy boots and authoritative voices outside. SWAT announced themselves before they forced the jam locked with specialized tools. The door flew open and the relief hit like a wave. The whole building was crawling with police cars, tactical vans, and news choppers circling overhead. They searched every inch of the conference room and pulled each of us aside for separate questioning in a cordoned-off area downstairs. No shooter, no weapon, nothing. The threat was a complete hoax, some sick prank call from outside. But they couldn't explain why the electronic lock froze exactly after the drill started, why our repeated calls went unanswered, or why no one did a proper headcount and noticed an entire all-hands meeting missing. The company launched a full internal investigation the next day, complete with email logs and calendar audits. Turns out Karen had emailed HR at 6 a.m. saying she felt sick and was canceling the meeting to work from home. But after some meds, she felt better, showed up anyway, and forgot to update the shared calendar or notify the facilities team. The evacuation coordinator saw the canceled flag and marked the room vacant on the master checklist. No substitute was assigned, so admins assumed it was empty. No double check, no walkthrough, just pure clerical screw up. I put in my resignation 2 weeks later. Marcus did too, along with 11 others from the team. We all knew what Karen knew the second she hung up that phone. If there had been a real shooter in the building, we'd have been the only ones left inside, sitting ducks with no one coming for us. The system didn't just fail, it erased us. I started at a smaller firm where they actually test their drills properly, but I still jump at every loud noise. In our old team group, chat we still vent about it. Never trust the drill, never trust the building, and definitely never trust the people who are supposed to keep you safe.